Hi, this is Mark Power here again, and today I'm going to talk about my own experience with stuttering and answer the question, what it's like to stutter. I'm a stuttering specialist and I've been doing this for 20 years, but before that I was a severe stutterer for the first 30 years of my life. All the way through elementary school, high school, even college, even after I went to graduate school to become a speech pathologist and went into my first job at a rehabilitation hospital. So I've been there and done that, and I want to tell you about my experiences about what it was like for me to stutter. First of all, let me tell you, usually people who stutter produce disfluencies in three different forms. One is repetitions, where a sound or syllable is repeated several times. Usually if it's one or two, normal speakers do that, but when it gets to be 5 or 6, you're in trouble. The next form of stuttering would be prolongations and holding a sound until you can force it out. I actually started out doing that. For whatever reason, I started out getting stuck in the middle of a vowel and prolonging it. So I would talk like this. That was very distracting to other people. I could tell, and it looked rather weird. And somehow when I was young, school-aged, I moved that from prolonging the vowels into repetitions, and that sounded a little more acceptable, so I kept it. And then eventually I changed the repetitions to hesitations, where I would stop and pause, usually for longer periods than normal, until I was ready to get the sounds out. And actually, that was less noticeable than either the prolongations or repetitions, but sometimes it didn't work, so that wasn't a solution either. The third type of stuttering moment are blocks, where the sound just doesn't come out. And I had those a lot when I was a severe stutterer. I would start to try to say something and nothing came out. This was something that was very visible, and it was especially hard when I was on the telephone. I had many experiences where I would call somebody up and they would go, hello, hello, hello. I was trying to get the sound out, and after about 10 or 15 seconds, they'd hang up. The embarrassing part was, if I really needed to make the call, I had to call them back. And that was very hard for me. So let me tell you about some of the experiences that I had with stuttering. As I look back on it, one thing that comes to mind was I studied psychology in graduate school, and part of my internship, I wanted to be a psychologist. Part of my internship was working at a Veterans Administration hospital next to the university. I got the job as a student assistant to the psychologist, and my job was to deliver IQ tests. So I just needed to read the questions on the IQ test so the person could answer them, and I would mark their answers. Seems pretty simple. But if you're a severe stutterer, you are afraid that every single time you're going to have a block or repetition. The problem with that is the intelligence tests are very standardized. So what I presented needed to be the same thing for all the clients. And if I had introduced blocks or stuttering or something else, that would have invalidated the results. Somehow I got through that, and my presentations were pretty standardized. I think I used the hesitation trick to do some of that. But as all people who stuttered know, even if I got through it, it was a tremendous amount of stress all the way through that test. Another situation I really recall is in the summers, I needed a little extra money in graduate school, so I got a job as a taxi driver in the local town. And that was no problem, but when I got into the job, into the taxi, I had to call in on the radio to tell them where I was so they could assign me somebody who wanted a taxi near where I was. So all I had to say was long 4-3, vacant down, which meant I was available. And I had that radio, and if you remember the radios where you push to talk, you need to push a button in order to say something. Well, when you push that button, it blocks out all the other people on that same station. So if somebody just pushes it and says something quickly, it's a back and forth type thing. I would push the button, and after about 15 seconds, maybe I'd get something out, maybe I wouldn't. If I didn't, I would let go of the button, and the radio would be free. But the dispatcher noticed that there were these long silences of somebody pushing the button. And usually he knew it was me because that would light up my cab number on his dispatcher desk. So after a while, I got to know him pretty well. And as I pushed to talk, if I let go, I would hear that, "Is that you out there, Mark?" And that would kind of lower my anxiety, and maybe I could talk to him and get some directions to pick up the next call in a taxi cab. So I want to describe to you specifically what it's like to stutter at the stuttering moment. When I was in a difficult speaking situation, maybe talking before a group or someplace I knew that I was going to have a lot of trouble. As my time came up, I got more and more nervous. And if you can picture, maybe I would walk up and stand up and start to talk. Right before that, I can describe it as a freight train screaming down the tracks, coming closer and closer to me, bounding down upon me, getting closer and closer and louder and louder. That to me is a good description of the anxiety and the terror I had when I was going to try to say something. I really, in some situations, it was so disastrous that I was almost blacking out because my whole brain was taken over by this terror. That's what happens when you stutter. Even along with that, before you stutter, there are some things that happen well before. You dread the speaking situation. It could be right before, but it could even be days before, if you know you're going to have that coming up in the future. So one of the situations that I dreaded was I had a job as a teacher, a special education teacher, and when I was sick, their procedure was to call up on the school district answering machine and just tell them you were sick so that you get a sub. You had to call up the night before. Not a problem. But if I stuttered, what I was thinking as that answering machine played its message and I was about to speak, I was pretty successful hiding my stuttering from the administration that hired me. I didn't know if I'd get fired if they knew I stuttered. So when I was going to give that message, simple message of, I'm going to be sick the next day, please give me a sub, and my name, I was so afraid that in the middle of that I might stutter. The main problem was, if I did stutter, I could not go back and erase it. It was on the school district answering machine. So that terrified me, and it made it even harder and harder when I would have to make that phone call. So you can dread stuttering before the moment, during the moment, and after the stuttering moment, you are experiencing embarrassment, discouragement, feeling that you're not going to be able to function. And you start to fear more of this, your future speaking situations. And actually limit yourself, make choices of not choosing to do those speaking situations, not starting a conversation with a friend, not volunteering for anything that involves speaking, not raising your hand in class. These are decisions that really limit your life. Now I want to tell you how my life is. I did find a stuttering treatment that was effective for me years ago, and now I enjoy speaking situations. I actually have done quite a few workshops for over 300 speech pathologists in a hotel ballroom, and I just didn't know what would happen the first time. I had a way of talking that was resolving my stuttering, was incompatible with stuttering, but that was just in easier situations and maybe a group of several people. But I didn't know what would happen before 300 people in the ballroom. So I started, and I found that after the first couple of minutes, I had no problem. So I actually started enjoying it, and for the next couple of hours, I had a blast. I was presenting everything, answering questions, and really doing what I wanted to do for my life. It was great. So you might want to know what I did and how you can get the same type of help. I am enrolling patients for a 2-week intensive treatment program. Let me know, and we can schedule a session where I'll find out more about you, see if you're a good candidate for the program, and tell you how this program works. So, thanks for listening. Talk to you later. Bye. Mark Power here, and if you like this video, then don't forget to like and subscribe for more helpful videos like this one. Also, be sure to hit the share button and leave us a comment below so that others can benefit from it as well. I'll be recording a lot more helpful videos like this one to help you overcome your stuttering. And if you'd like to be notified, then click on the bell icon below.